11 o'clock in the morning in Edmonton, Alberta, and we are at the Keg and Cork. And we are here with the distillery manager from Shelter Point, Jacob Wiebe.
Wiebe, yes.
I said it the right way the first time.
You got it right. That's
good, because I almost said Jason instead of Jacob.
Well, everyone gets the last name wrong. It's always like Wiebe or Wiebe.
Well, I spelt it wrong several times when I was trying to type up the notifications. Oh, 11 a.m. whiskey shenanigans, a.m. in the morning. You're 2 hours ahead of us. He's in Indiana. And my bourbon journey. How you doing, buddy? Everybody's coming in. So we're going to start right off here, guys. We're going to get Jacob here to explain a little bit about Shelter Point
Distillery,
and its whiskey.
Absolutely. Do you want to have a breakfast dram?
Let's have a breakfast dram. Yes.
Breakfast dram. We could start with the single malt. So Shelter Point Distillery is located on Vancouver Island in BC. We were only the 5th distillery in BC when we opened up. And I think as of last year, there's only about 84 approved licenses.
Okay.
So since 2011, the industry has grown a wee bit. The first product we're going to have is the single malt. It's our traditional Scotch style single malt. We won't call it Scotch. Everyone gets very upset about that in other countries.
Some people probably even get upset that you call it a single malt.
They do. They don't like it, but we're going to keep doing it.
Canadian, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
We have less laws. So.
Yeah. In BC, they seem to have more because it's.
You do have some annoying laws in BC.
It's a lot nicer to hang out in Alberta than it is BC.
Is it? Yeah. Well, I have to appreciate the fact that we were minus 30 last week, and you've now brought us some warm weather.
You're welcome, because it was snowing on Vancouver Island right now, which is what I expected when I came here.
Isn't that a little odd?
I like it.
We don't get much snow when it's minus 30, just so you know.
Yeah, that's not it's not what we all think on the island. We just always assume there's 10 feet of snow out here, and it's
you're much
horrible,
much higher in the north here, right?
Yeah.
So we have a single malt. This is
our flagship product. So this is the product that's available year round.
And this has been coming out since
2016.
2016.
Yeah. So this is the
my
third
first bottle.
Yeah.
This is 2016.
Yeah. This is the third iteration of it, the third release. And it keeps getting a little bit older. We are saving our older stock so that we can release the 10 years. So we're going to constantly re-release kind of 5-6-year-old single malts until we get to that point where we can have a double-digit age statement on the bottle.
Okay. So one of the things that makes this unique is that it's farm to flask is the terminology I heard.
For a lot of our products, we are growing our own barley. For the malted products, that is not true yet. We are malting our own barley now. We're shipping our barley to Gambrinus in Armstrong, BC, to malt our own barley. This malted barley did come from Gambrinus, so it is BC barley.
Okay.
But for this particular batch, it's not
okay.
From our farm. The Montfort and the double barrel, or the Montfort is from the farm, and the liqueur at the end is. Okay. But everything that we did in 2011 and 2012 was from Armstrong.
Good to know. But it's still a BC barley
BC barley,
right?
And we're doing as much stuff on the farm as possible. So we're growing our farming aspect of it.
Right. How big is the farm in total?
400 acres.
400 acres,
which is big for BC.
Yeah.
Not so much for Alberta.
Well, big on the island.
Big on the island.
Big on the island.
Yeah.
The island is small. I will try to do a screen share, guys, to show you later. But we do have a quick question here from Whiskey Whistle, who lives in Manitoba. If you have family in Manitoba.
I do have family in Manitoba. All of my father's relatives are from Manitoba. I think Dauphin specifically.
This is very nice. It's very light. Now, I went to Scotland, and one of the guys here, Jason Whiskey Wise, as you can see here. Hey, Jason, you have one of these samples. One of the samples I brought you was this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So Jason hasn't opened it yet. We're going to do a kind of a Canadian whiskey blind tasting thing, hopefully together. He's in London, and there's another sample of this in Scotland. That hasn't been opened yet.
Perfect. Yeah, we're trying to just sneak it across the world without really letting too many people know.
That's it. That's the way it is. Now, we'll get back to some of the distillery, but you guys won several awards just recently, but you won one a while back in in London.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
London
what
at the World Whiskey Awards. We won 2 gold medals. We won one for our single malt for gold medal for Canadian single malt whiskey, and we won one for our Montfort DL 141 for Canadian single grain.
Okay.
So that was very exciting to get kind of recognition, not just from BC or Canada.
And I just did a brief read of those awards. They're blind.
Yeah.
They didn't know it was from you or anything.
Nothing. All they knew that it was from Canada. That's kind of
from Canada.
They break them up into the categories in which they're going to be judged in, and then from there they're all blind. But so is the Victoria.
So is the Victoria one?
And the BC distilled ones. Most of the contests are blind now.
Well, to do it, yeah, that would make sense.
It's not. We don't really enter ones where they don't taste blind, just because you never know who's kind of gonna have pre-ideas about.
Nope.
About
Preconception is a big thing within whiskey. I mean, look at how many people will try a 10-year-old of anything and think, oh, it's, there's an 18-year-old is better, just automatically.
Yeah, age statement. And without the age statement, we like to we make people taste it first, and then we tell them how old it is, so that they don't get that preconceived idea of, it's under 6 years, it can't taste very well.
No.
When whiskey will just age differently in Canada, just because it's so much warmer for us on the West Coast on a yearly basis than Scotland. So we kind of find that our whiskey maybe matures a little bit quicker. Yeah. Now our evaporation rate is higher. So, the Angels are getting their share no matter what we do.
But your climate, and so Shelter Point, guys, is in Campbell River. And so you're closest to the mainland, but you still have fresh water coming in from.
We're on oceanfront property, so our warehouse is less than a kilometer away from the ocean. From the Salish Sea, which we're sort of located like in the middle of Vancouver Island, but for the most part, it's kind of the north end of civilization because there's not a lot more north of us on the island.
I'm trying to do a screen share here, guys, which I'm new at, so it might not work for where I want to do the screen share to show you where the island is. No. Well, we'll try it later. When I post this after, I'll put a shot in. But if you type in Shelter Point Distillery in Google Maps, you will see exactly where they are. But your water source is coming from.
We have an aquifer on the farm, so all of our water is well water that's only about 3-4 feet down below surface.
Yeah, I watched the video where they were digging it out, and 2 scoops with the
excavator, and
there was water rushing in already into the hole.
Yeah, we have an abundance of water, well water. So it's not city water. There's no chlorine. There's nothing like that. So water is a big part of what we do, because we just have a luxury that not many distilleries get.
No, kind of in a good spot
where they're all kind of opening up in more commercial buildings, and they're downtown. So we have a great source of water, and we're able to also utilize all of the excess mash from our barley to either feed the animals, or we compost it on site, or we just dump it and we just feed the geese, just to bring geese and stuff right in front of the distillery, because a lot of our tourists from other countries don't see wildlife as much as we do. So there's like 100 deer on the farm. I'm no longer fascinated by deer.
No,
but a lot of people are.
Yeah, sure. I can understand it. Yeah,
you can pet the deer, and it's like and they never go away.
Right on.
Yeah.
So yourself, we'll curious little story about how you got into this in the first place.
Yeah. So I met my wife in high school when I was 16, and then I was a carpenter by trade. And she had asked me to come help her dad with a roof on the farm. And then that was in 2013. And I have not left since then.
Yep.
So I went there and I did the roof. And then I ran the raspberry farm. There is 60 acres of raspberries. We pick about 500,000 pounds of jam stock a year.
Wow.
Which is in turn sold essentially right to Smuckers, especially where the price of the dollar is. They come up and buy everything.
Yeah.
And then I started taking over the warehouse kind of in 2015, 2014. I was running the warehouse for the Shelter Point. And then I ended up taking over kind of more of the business side as I got married to the owner's daughter, which helped. So
job security.
But I get divorced, I lose my job.
Yeah, maybe.
So there is that.
Yeah.
And then I started putting myself through business school, and in turn, I was kind of given more of an opportunity to help Patrick run the business side of the distillery, doing a lot of the paperwork that Patrick may not want to do.
Right.
Patrick, the owner, is a farmer by trade. His family ran the largest dairy farm on Vancouver Island. And when we bought the property, was originally the old UBC research farm, and we bought the property to get back into dairy farming. And after a few months of dairy farming, we remembered that we don't like working with cows. So Patrick, in turn, thought, what is the highest value we can add to a grain crop? And whiskey was brought up.
Yep.
So we sort of took it from there, and that's when he built the distillery. We started building in 2009, and it was completed in 2010. We got our stills from Forsyth in Scotland. Patrick traveled all around Scotland to get an idea of how he wanted to build the building, just to make it as much of a Scottish distillery as possible while incorporating some of the Canadian traits.
So your distillery, they're brand new stills?
Brand new stills.
Brand new stills from Forsyth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we ordered them, there was only like a 6-month waiting list. And now it's about 6 years.
Wow.
So the whiskey market and industry has grown tremendously.
You betcha. So, and exactly describe the stills. I mean, I'll try to show you guys a picture, but the stills are
our traditional pot stills. We have a 4,000 liter spirit still and a 5,000 liter wash still. They are about, I think, 19 feet tall with the neck on it up to the condenser there. And then I think they're about 3/8 copper.
I've showing quickly here, guys. You'll see where Edmonton is, and in red you will see the little dot. So it's about a 16-hour drive. I meant to show that sooner. That's what I was trying to show.
It's only an hour and a half flight, which
and
is
it's
lovely.
only an hour and a half flight. Yes, and it's a beautiful place to be at. And I will show you now a picture of their stills. Let any in the chat, guys, let me know if you can see these. Hopefully it's working. Yeah, there you go.
And the one thing that's nice about this building is all of the lumber that you see in there, we actually milled up ourselves. So we had a wood lot too.
Awesome.
So everything was milled up from either the property or one of Patrick's other properties. Mm-hmm. So we did as much kind of keeping all of the business for it local as we could.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be cheaper a little bit, which was not true by the time you get the stamps from the engineers on all the structural stuff.
No. Yes.
So
I love engineers.
Yeah.
I do. They make me a lot of money.
They're lovely people.
Yeah. They should all go to a company called ADT, always done twice.
Yeah.
That's just us, guys. Anyway, so they're beautiful stills.
Yeah.
And you guys did, this was not an existing barn.
No. So we built this building from scratch, and it is actually designed like Patrick's home dairy farm barn. That's what he wanted the shell to look like. He wanted it to look like kind of a traditional dairy farm, a style of a building. And then from there, our head distiller, James Marinas, did all of the designing. So James has been working for Patrick for about 35 years, I think now. Mm-hmm. So pretty much since James was 17, he's been working for Patrick on dairy farm. And then once they built this, James kind of took over as the head distiller, and was trained by a gentleman named Mike Nicholson, who has worked for Diageo, among others, and he went to Caledonia after. Mike is a third generation distiller. He worked hand in hand with James for, I think, 6 or 7 months. He lived on the farm with us, and kind of taught James everything he needed to know about how to make whiskey, how to taste whiskey, how to differentiate the feints, the heads, the tails, kind of all the small intricacies of the whiskey making process.
Good.
Yeah.
That's it's a beautiful looking place. You'll use it. I mean, obviously you set up for visitors.
Yeah.
and people can rent areas as for weddings
Yep.
and so forth.
Yeah, so we are doing we do weddings and stuff. We do about one a week. One year we did about 120 of them. Soured the taste on weddings a little bit. It's a lot of work, a lot more work than we. When you get to more than one a week, it's not as fun.
Is there a real thing to the word bridezilla? I'm not married, so
I am married.
Yeah.
I can say that it's probably a real thing.
it is. Okay.
But it's just
You won't commit though.
The only issue with weddings is it's kind of a 3-day. The day before they set up, they have the wedding, and the cleanup the day after, so
Yes.
it kind of halts production.
It does.
And you have a lot of alcohol in all those tanks at all given times, and it's hard to watch during weddings when there's
It is.
100 people roaming around the building.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up. And they don't want you to interrupt them either, maybe. Eh?
No, and
Hey, we're
people,
working here.
people have a few drinks and they don't like being told what to do,
Yeah.
and you have all the tanks locked, but people are playing with them, and it's just
Well, from what I've seen, I would love to go there and visit. So there's, obviously,
if you're ever in the neighborhood, we
Yeah.
could do one of these
We'll come
there as
by.
well with stills
Yeah.
as the backdrop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you could take me for a ride. You were showing me a video of your kids on their
Yeah.
on their boat
On their boat
out
in
in
the
the yard
snow.
on the tractor, so the
Yeah.
quad.
It only happens a couple of days of the year. It snows
Yeah.
on the island, but
Yeah.
when it happens, we have as much fun as humanly possible. during this.
Jacob guys was showing me a video of what he was doing with his kids before he flew here, and they got a little pirate ship that
Yeah.
you put on a pallet or sled,
Water skis.
water skis. Oh,
Bolted it to water skis, and then I tied it to my side by side, and then I pulled them around the farm. Only about 30 or 40K, but they're 4 and 2, so they handled it it pretty well. They're
Yeah.
still here.
Yeah,
That's good.
Well, they have fun. Safety is first
Yeah.
out there.
Very few
Um,
broken boats. It's good.
That's the fun part about distilleries is it becomes part of your life. You're out there and you're
You're immersed in it.
You're immersed.
And it's really 7 days a week because there's
Yeah.
always paperwork, there's always emails, there's always sales, there's always something that you can do.
Yeah.
And we're actually very small staffed, so there's only 5 full-time employees
Right.
on the farm.
Yeah.
So there's Patrick, the owner. There's myself, distillery manager and kind of farm manager. James is the head distiller and the farm manager as well. James has a lot more knowledge about certain farming aspects than me.
Yeah.
And me, Patrick, and James do all of the farming. So we do all the plowing, all the disking, all the harvesting, the baling,
You're
hanging
doing
them
lots
up.
of work all the time.
So we do
There's always something.
all the farming.
So you're they really want you to get back home,
Yeah. Well, it's
travel around.
early spring. I gotta start plowing the fields.
Yeah, it's a little slower right now.
It's a little slower with the snow on the field, so we got to let that dry up a little bit to get the plow in the field.
Yeah.
And we also have Leon Webb, who
Yes,
trained at
master.
Harriet Watt University, and he also worked for Isla Harris, and then he went to Victoria's Spirits. He created the Empress Gin, which is a color changing gin,
Okay. Yeah.
which has a little bit of a positive following, as they are the highest selling gin in BC for premium gin.
That's good.
So he had an extensive knowledge of distilling, but he really wanted to make whiskey, which gave us a great opportunity because we wanted to expand. So he started working about 1.5 years ago, creating our whiskey, working full time with Leon. Was the first time that we ran the stills the 100% of the year, because usually James had to take time off to help us with the farming and some of the farm projects, because we're such small staffed. And now with Leon, when we have someone in the distillery full time, James is also now back double shifting. So we're running 2 mashes a day. And
That's
2 ton. We're getting about 800 liters of absolute alcohol a day now.
so you have a warehouse on site as well?
Yeah, which is handled by David Marshall.
Okay.
So right now, David is filling
No problem.
new make spirit into Lefroy barrels, Lefroy quarter casks that we recently purchased.
Wow.
They are 151 liters, and he's doing that this morning.
Doing good that way. Good.
Yeah.
Rooney Nielsen wants to do a tasting on the Faroe Islands with this whiskey.
Yeah, I'm game.
You know what? We'll talk here, Rooney. I would love to send you some samples, at least, if not the whole bottles, so you can do something on there. Rooney is very, very good with whiskey. He's phenomenal. So one of the other things here, first of all, this is their phenomenal bottle. And the cork on this is not a cork, but it is a glass stopper,
Yeah, a vino lock.
a vino lock, and you just listen to this. That stays on there. That is locked on there. This is an excellent probably what I would recommend. Everybody should change their cap too, eh?
I think so. It's different. Originally, we only did it because our cork shipment didn't show up.
Oh, really?
And then they were way behind to resupply us, where the Vino locks were available like that. They are a little pricier, about 3 times as much as a cork.
Yeah.
But we find it helps us differentiate ourselves
Yeah,
as something different and unique.
It stays beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can just feel it snap in there.
Yeah.
I think it is a superior product.
Yeah. The only issue people have is it doesn't pull straight up.
No.
So you have a lot of people that will call us and say they can't get into the bottle. And then we send them a little 5-second video of going to the side, and it pops right up itself.
That's wicked.
But they get upset because they can't pull it straight up.
It does stay on very well.
Yeah.
You just do a little side. It's like a suction cup in a sense.
Yeah. It's funny because it was an issue that we never knew would be a thing, that you couldn't pull them straight up, because we always just like, just push it to the side. It works right away. But
they're phenomenal.
We learned.
This is a nice product. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
So what do we have next here?
Yeah. We can go to the Montfort. This one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one has won all of the most of the awards that we have. It's won the most amount of gold medals. It won a gold medal at the Victoria Whiskey Festival this year, and it also got an award for innovation, as we grew all of the barley on the farm on Vancouver Island in Campbell River. So this is as close to Vancouver Island whiskey as we can possibly get as a true home product.
Right.
A provenance whiskey, as it were. And on the back of the bottle, you won't be able to see it really. We actually have the longitude and latitude of where the barley was grown. So if you search that on your phone, it takes you to the middle of our farm. So in the summer, there's a lot of hipstery type folk, we'll call them.
Hipsters. Are there any hipsters in the chat? You know what I have to say about hipsters? I'm an old guy here. Anyway.
Yeah, you get them in the middle of summer walking through our property going like, that whiskey was grown right here in the middle of a 40-acre field.
Walking around with their GPS on their phone.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not really, it's all the fields. That's just the center of the farm. It's not that one little field. It's
hilarious.
All of the other 10 fields that are there, not just that one.
But hey, it brings an interest to them. So
yeah. And one thing that we do at Shelter Point that we're very proud of is we do no chill filtering and no added color.
No added color at all. So this is all natural.
All natural.
We got a question in here from Whiskey in the Six, who's from Toronto. I don't think they have any of this out here, he was saying. And are you asking us what is the best one? And hello, Chad Adams. How you doing? And Whisky Scout's in. I probably missed a lot of guys. Sorry about that. We'll do a little check here and see who's all in. Chad Adams, Jason Coates, Jason Whiskey Wise, Rooney, the Whisky Scout, Whiskey Shenanigans, Whiskey in the Six, Whiskey Jason. There you go. We were just talking about you. And Whiskey Whistle. So keep it up in the chats, guys. Sorry, we're not paying attention to it that much. Whiskey in the Six. So which one is the best? Well, I think that's a personal opinion.
Personal opinion. My favorite is our double barreled single malt finished in a wine barrel from Quail's Gate, the next Pinot Noir cask.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal favorite. It's bottled at 50%, so it's not quite watered down, but it's not quite cask strength. We kind of wanted somewhere in the middle. The owner's favorite is the Montfort, because he likes that. Like, I put that barley in the ground. I watched it grow. I cut it down. I did everything.
It's personal.
It's personal with him.
Yeah.
And then
this is delightful. Huh?
Our James, our distiller, prefers the single malt. It's just traditional single malt whiskey. It's kind of what he was trying to emulate when he first kind of came up with changing the mash bill to kind of fit his flavor profile that he would like. The mash bill is actually pretty simple. It's just 100% malted barley, but he was changing kind of the temperatures and everything to get the flavor profile that he wanted. So that's why he has a special connection with the single malt.
Yeah.
Leon Webb, the other head distiller, he, I think, prefers the wine barrel. He's a little bit harder to understand with that thick accent.
Yeah.
So very Scottish all the time.
Sure.
He's always making up words like rubbish and car park. And it's really hard to
well,
get.
he's teaching you some stuff.
Yeah.
Whiskey Jason, only good things. Whatever I said was only good things, I promise. Anything else pop in here real quick? Sometimes we got to pay attention to what these guys.
The question about Toronto, we're not out there yet.
No.
We're working on it. It's hard
It's
work.
harder out there. The LCBO is.
We are in Quebec and we are in Manitoba.
They're in Quebec and Manitoba. Yeah, Whiskey Whistle has some. I think he did a review with some of your stuff. To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Not responding to my prodding. Oh, I don't even. Are you prodding me, Chad? I'm a hipster and you're a Huckleberry. Listen, it's funny that you bring that up, but no one said anything about my hair yet today. So
it's wonderful hair.
I was getting called Johnny Bravo.
That's good. That's a good cartoon. It's a little before my time. I don't know if it was on when I was born.
Young fellas making whiskey. Talking about a country boy hipster. Maybe there's a new thing.
We're trying to do a little both. We get really sensitive about being called hipsters, but when it's cut and dry, we're a lot closer than we like to admit.
Well, you probably listen to country music and not
a lot of childhood. Yeah, there's a lot of country.
Not music. Western, just country.
Not Western.
There's only two types of music for these boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if we smell the original, and the new or different, it's not really new.
Different, yeah. So I like to describe like as a single malt is kind of like a Highland style single malt whiskey.
Yes, it is. It's a little grassy.
Montfort may smell more similar to kind of an Irish whiskey. So this is triple distilled, but it is still 100% unmalted barley grown on the farm. I find that it's not necessarily as complex as single malt flavor profile wise, but it's more of a direct flavor that's very appealing to me.
So this is not malted.
Not malted.
And I like this from field to flask.
Yeah.
And this one here, I was just seeing a question in there. The ABV on this one is 46.
Yeah.
And on
the single malt is 46.
Okay.
And then the double barreled would be 50. And then I think the cask strength is 58.7.
Right. We have a question here from Jason Whiskey Wise. How many are in their core range and what are their differences? So have you developed a full core range yet? Or are you working on it? Or?
It's kind of a work in progress. But really for whiskeys, there are 4 distinct styles that we have been constantly releasing. We have the single malt. We have the unmalted single grain, which is Montfort DL 141. Montfort is the name of the Richard Montfort is the man who actually put together the farm in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
And DL 141 is the district lot in which we grew the barley. So it's kind of a story behind the name.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
We release a double barreled every year, which is a single malt finished in a wine barrel. Our first year was using a local winery called Coastal Black, which is 10 minutes up the road from us. When we use their blackberry wine barrels to finish a lot of our whiskey. Last time we did Quail's Gate Pinot Noir, and our next release will also be Quail's Gate Pinot Noir again.
Okay.
Because we really like how that flavor profile is turning out for us. So Quail's Gate is really easy to work with. They're sending us lots of barrels. And then we also do one that we call Cask Strength, which is actually a malt spirit and rye spirit blend, which is kind of different.
It's a
50% malt spirit and 50% rye spirit blended together at the end.
That's going to be unique.
Different. Different. It's very unique.
So how repetitive, maybe not the right word, are you trying to be? How are you trying to make that artisanal match what came out in 2016? Or
it's hard to keep them. We want them to be similar, but you're not going to get much consistency if you're going to do vattings less than 10,000 liters, which was information kind of shared to us by Don Livermore of Corby's. He's their master blender. He's always getting awards
he's very well known, man.
And he said unless you're doing 10,000 liter vattings, it's hard to keep that consistency. So we're not as worried per se about the consistency as long as the level of product and the quality is at the high standard that we're trying to meet. So while it may go from maybe a Highland to a Lowland or to a Speyside style, the mash bills hasn't changed. The distillation process didn't change. The only difference really for the core of single malt is kind of the type of barrels. And we're using lots of different barrels. So we get barrels from Jack Daniels, mostly bourbon, ex-bourbon barrels, American oak, but we're getting lots of Jack Daniels. We use a lot of Maker's Mark, Buffalo Trace, Four Roses, kind of whatever we get our hands on.
Yeah,
and then
there's a little difficulty always.
Yeah.
There's a lot of demand for barrels.
Like Jack Daniels are available every day of the year. It's no problem to get Jack Daniel barrels. Maker's Mark a little bit harder. Four Roses definitely more hard to acquire. We also have some Lefroy barrels, quarter casks, which is a quarter of a butt cask, which Dave taught me, because when I bought them, I was thinking quarter cask, which for the micro distilleries means 30 liters.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, buy a whole bunch of those. That's cool. Get a real peat influence right away. And they showed up. They were a little bit bigger, 150,
bigger.
which
but
was
that'll be very unique. That one there. How long before that one is available?
So we're doing, we got like 187 of them. 90 of them are being used for finishes, and 90 are going to be used to put new make in as well.
Okay.
So the finishes, the oldest one that we have was finished we started barrel. We added it into the Lefroy barrels December 1st. As of last week, it was starting to show a peat influence, but not quite as high as we'd like yet. So we're thinking it's going to be a winter release for a peat finish style of whiskey.
But see, a peated whiskey also would be great on the beach in the summertime with a fire.
It'd be lovely.
Salty ocean and the fire smoke. It's good too in the summer. I don't know why everybody thinks it's only for winter. Just throwing that out there.
No, definitely. I had originally game planned for it to come out in July, but I think just to get the level of peatiness that we want to acquire, we're gonna have to leave it a little bit longer. Like
don't rush it.
2 years ago, I wanted no peat at all in my system. But really, Leon broke my spirit using Ardbeg 10.
See, this is a wonderful thing when you talk to someone. I mean, you started as a carpenter. You came out to do a repair. You've been there for 5 years now?
Since 2013 full-time.
2013 full-time?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's your whiskey journey as well, which makes it interesting for the viewers.
Yeah.
And I mean, you didn't care for people. What did you drink before you started into this?
Rye and Coke.
Rye and Coke. Country boy drink.
Country boy. Maybe rum and Coke if they were at a rye.
If they were at a rye, I put rum in.
Put in rum. Spiced rum too. Not the great stuff. That nice spiced Captain Morgan's rum.
You have one of a famous man from the island in the chat right now. His name is Andy. We call him Food Quig.
Yeah.
Do you know who Food Quig is?
Not off the top of my head.
He's done. I just watched before we came out here yesterday. I watched your video, Food Quig, on Shelter Point Artisanal.
Yeah.
Right. And he's at the Victoria Festival. He drives taxi in Victoria.
Yeah.
Right. And he has a whiskey tuber channel as well.
Yeah.
You should check out his review of you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's great.
Food Quig is very, very knowledgeable about whiskey in a very laid back kind of way. Very island, very Vancouver Island.
I like it.
Very laid back. My first time going out to Vancouver Island, I managed a franchise, food franchise. And I had to go out there and I was like, come on, we got to get this done. I was like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Every island I go to, they seem to be laid back. And I mean, Vancouver Island is a big island and it's got, pretty good industry and stuff there, but there's just something about ocean air in the island. I don't know what it is.
Calming, relaxing.
Calm. Like, yeah, no problem, man. We'll be right here. No problem. I'm like, I need to get this done now.
We let everybody merge in the roads. There's no cutting anybody off.
Hardly the horns hardly ever get hit. It's nothing like driving down the GTA in Toronto.
Yeah.
Or not the GTA. What's the main thing in Toronto that you drive on? Huh? 401 or whatever it is. I mean, even here, driving to Fort McMurray, you hear more horns.
Oh, even Victoria is still like a big city for us island folk. I try to not go down as much as I
newlyweds and nearly deads.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? How far away are you from Victoria?
3 hours or 2.5. Depends how quick you drive.
Food Quig, can I get a taxi to Shelter Point anytime easy? Santa Cruz just came in. He is from Santa Cruz. I don't know why I even have to guess that. So, hey, Chris, how you doing? Is there any of this heading stateside?
We are working with a couple different distributors, hopefully for the end of 2019, maybe early 2020. Okay. I'm not sure what their exact distribution plan is for which states they're going to be hitting, but the issue with going to the States is some of the tariffs change from time to time lately, more than usual, over the past couple of years. But we are, they need a certain quantity to meet their standards. And we have limited quantity available because we're only releasing small amounts of whiskey each year. I suspect we're going to do a couple of like private bottlings, but more of like a 5-6 cask type of thing, just to get them enough bottles to start breaking into some of the markets.
There you go. Jason? says, Jason Whiskey Wise, this needs to come to the UK. Would be interested to explore them all. You and Jacob need to visit London. Yes.
I would very much like for my boss / father-in-law to send me to London. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
One day I will talk him into it.
Say, listen, for it's a tax write-off. I need to go and see what people are buying.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I definitely.
And Jason is the guy you need to meet up with. He actually is got his finger on the pulse of whiskey in the UK. He knows his stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of people I'm sure you're going to want to know through this chat, right?
Yeah.
Whiskey in the Six. You're asked about Ontario, but you're already working on Ontario.
We're working on
LCBO, and it's its
own challenge with the LCBO.
You think you'll get it in the US before you'll get it in Ontario?
There's a good chance.
Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Ontario is it. But if you go to either province on the side of you, you can get it.
Yeah. Hey, Red Rabbit, how you doing? Well, thanks for coming in. So this is very special. Yeah. I like this because it's a single grain.
Yeah.
And it's a tribute to the man that started the farm.
Yeah.
And it breaks it down so that we can. You should put one of them geocaches out there.
Yeah,
those are another group of people besides hipsters that just move. They'll find a rock and they'll lift it up, and there's something inside there.
Yeah, I've had more questions about that than we'd like to admit.
I think that's quite unique. Well, you just got to have one guy out there that starts doing geocache.
Yeah.
So we want to talk now about the double barrel.
The double barreled, yeah.
Okay.
So the double barreled is single malt finished in a Quail's Gate Pinot Noir cask. It was finished for 1,993 hours because we got really specific about it. The distiller was adamant that we break it down to he was kind of aiming for like minutes, but it was taking up too much space on my label. So really? Hours is what I convinced them to do. And in future releases, it's probably going to be broken down to days because everyone always asks me how many days 193 hours is, and I don't quite know off the top of my head.
You got to do, well, ask Siri. She probably knows.
Yeah.
Right. I hate talking to Siri, but she doesn't know anything about whiskey.
She knows more about how many hours equal days.
Oh man, that is phenomenal. So here's a closer look at this bottle, guys.
Yeah, and that is 50% ABV.
Hey, Don Holland is here. Don Holland is a phenomenal whiskey enthusiast, and we have Amy. Amy is awesome. Her and her husband George. Okay, I have to go to work. Okay, thank you very much, Whiskey Whistle. Cheers. And enjoy some Shelter Point. I saw you have a bottle out there, so drink it up. What else? Are we missing anybody here? No? Okay, continue with this.
Yeah.
Because this here just blew me away on the nose. This is great.
This one is my favorite of the range of whiskeys that we released. And this was the second version of the double barrel that we released.
Okay.
Like I said, the first one was finished in a Coastal blackberry wine or blackberry port style barrel, where this one is Quail's Gate Pinot Noir.
And okay, Pinot Noir. I was just reading French oak, and I was going to just ask.
Yeah, French oak finish, just because it's a different type of oak than the American oak.
Yep.
The thing with finishing in a wine's typically aged at a lower ABV, so it's a little bit of a thicker of a product. So the higher ABV the spirit is, the more it digs into the wood. So wine being at a low ABV doesn't go into the wood as much as spirit wood, whiskey spirit wood, just because we are aging at 63.5. So you kind of imagine like a coffee filter. You put something thick through it, it drips really slowly. You put the high proof spirit in it and it shoots right through it.
Right. So
that's why it's harder to age a long time into a X wine barrel, because you're going to get too much of that oaky influence.
Right.
We find that you either have to kind of do less than like 6 to 8 months or less, or 3 or 4 years. That kind of middle 1 to 2 year range doesn't really work because you're getting too much of an oak influence.
Too much of the
and it hasn't settled down enough. But you can outweight that if you just put it in there long enough.
This guy has a beautiful nose on it, very, very floral.
Yeah.
The wine distinctly comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got I think it's the darkest color so far.
It's the darkest, yeah. It has kind of a reddy hue to it, or purpley hue. I find that, it's just my favorite because it's more complex than the single malt. It's a little bit sweeter. It's got a little bit more of an amplified floral note to it.
This is very good.
And then finishing at 50% was a choice that we kind of made together. We wanted something that wasn't quite cask strength because we had a couple cask strength releases on the shelf already. We had a couple 46 So we're kind of like, oh, what if we just went in the middle? There's a couple of scotches that are finished at 50. And when we were watering it down, we didn't know exactly what ABV we're going to go to because we're dropping it 2% per week.
Yep.
And then 50 was kind of when we thought it can't get any better than this. So at 50, we stopped watering down the bulk of it. We took a couple of bottles and tried it. Oh, what would this taste like at 49, 48, 47, 46? And 50 was by far the kind of best flavor profile that we thought we could achieve with this particular batch.
Okay. Now you brought up aging a little bit with these. What is the average age going if we can ask that?
Yeah. So the single malt is 5.5. The Montfort is no more than 5 for this batch.
Yeah.
The next batch will be closer to 6. The Cask Strength is a little bit of a different one. So the malt spirit in it is about 5.5.
Yeah.
Now it's the rye spirit wasn't actually distilled at Shelter Point.
Okay.
So when we opened up, we had a guest whiskey from Alberta Distillers. We brought in, I think it was a couple thousand liters of rye. We had it on the shelf. Some of the policies changed in BC. The craft policy was implemented. Everything has to be made and grown in BC. The LDV asked us to dump it out. So we dumped it into casks, kind of just waiting for the government to figure out what was going to happen with the craft policy. Because
technically we dumped it out. You didn't tell us what to dump it.
You didn't tell me to dump it into a drain. You just told me to dump it out.
Yeah.
And then once the craft policy sort of settled in after a couple of years, we are able to release the rye whiskey under the craft policy because it was kind of grandfathered in.
Right.
We're not allowed to produce any more non-compliant whiskeys. So we kind of just didn't really want to release it on its own, which we did end up doing anyway later on. But we wanted to kind of blend it with our spirit to create something unique because there's not a lot of malt rye blends out there.
Yeah.
So we tried to do something that made us special per se.
Yep. So it is very smooth.
Yeah.
It is not harsh. This one particularly, but none of them. I have not. Now that's what made me think and ask the age question. A lot of times with a younger whiskey, you're expecting
a little
like
more
a bit of a burn and in a harsh way, not the ABV being too high. This is extremely smooth. This is elegant.
Yeah. This is just it's just my favorite. It's just different than all the other whiskeys.
Yeah, no, this is.
And we wanted our core range to kind of be very specific. We didn't want them to overlap one another, to be just barely different. Like we wanted them to stand out from one another so that they can all stand on their own.
Yeah. I like the fact that you're making a single malt in the sense of that word.
Yeah.
But you're not trying to imitate purely.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a scotch, obviously. No. And you're not, I mean, this is not 100% barley.
Yeah.
But it's, this
one is 100% barley.
Oh, this is 100% barley.
Yeah, only the green one is.
Oh, okay. I'm getting mixed up with the one with the rye in it. All right.
Yeah. So this is 100%.
And it's 1,993 hours.
Yeah.
And there's this. Is this the total? This is bottle 673
out of 1131. Yeah. So
very limited.
The single malt, we're doing about 15,000 bottles a year. The other varieties, we're doing less than 1,500 bottles. They're 4 or 5 casks at most per blend because we're trying to just release really high quality spirits in small doses. So there's very limited availability
this is awesome
on the other ones. Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to ask Tanner, can you see if they got a couple more glasses for the next, maybe because I now have 2 more bottles to try, right? We have our makeup artist here, Tanner. He's helping out. No. So what are we missing in here? Mike, at 45, you can't really go wrong. I don't know. Sometimes there's a lot of crosstalk.
Yeah.
Whiskey, ever see the pick? See, so whiskey shenanigans. What do you guys? Anything here we're going missing? Phones are wonderful in this day and age. The Whisky Scout is from the States. He has a YouTube channel, and he's so these are the guys.
Yeah.
If we get talking after the show, where maybe we can arrange to send
bottles, absolutely,
or samples,
absolutely,
bottles,
we can,
or samples down to them, and they will talk about your. Oh man, awesome! These are special glasses.
Oh, we're getting unique. Yeah,
what are these ones for? What are they for? This is a unique glass. But I think for the next one's coming up, this might work awesome.
Yeah.
This is unique. I love this one here was Great. Kilted Moose, how you doing? There's a Canadian loving Scotsman.
Perfect.
He deserves to try some of these.
Yeah.
So we'll talk and see what I can help you guys out with down there. There's the Whiskey Quest, the Whisky Scout. They're very laid back, genuine guys, and
No, it's good. We'd love to get them some samples.
They are just about whiskey.
The more people that can spread the good word about whiskey, the better.
Yeah,
That's how we look at it.
And that's one of the. I will not mention any other names, but there have been one other Canadian distillery, and they were just, yeah, sure, whatever, have them call me.
Yeah.
They didn't have the attitude you have about, hey, spread our name. This is awesome.
Yeah, the more the merrier. We find that like some people get all a little more sensitive when there's multiple distilleries opening up.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily view them as competition per se, because we want more distilleries on the island, the better.
Yeah.
Because the more distilleries there, the more people that are going to travel to visit distilleries. And then you can create a distillery trail, and you can try to emulate more of kind of what Scotland does, opposed to.
I'm moving to Vancouver Island. I'm going to move there. I am.
Yeah,
well, I'll cut the trail.
Yeah.
Well, I can ride my motorbike more often.
Yeah. Well, it does rain a lot. Only about half the year.
Wetsuit.
Only,
rain tires.
it only rains 7 months of the year.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna now look at your cask strength.
Yeah.
Now, is this the first time you put out a cask strength?
this is the third one as well.
Third one as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we released our first Cask Strength in 2016.
Yep.
And then this will be the third release. This one actually just got to Alberta. It was shipped late January. So it should be available, where I can't say that the other ones will all be available just because they may have sold out by now.
Yeah, I'll do a little whiskey hunting.
Yeah.
Can I open it? Because I
Yeah.
really love opening
Absolutely.
these bottles. That's so beautiful, guys. I mean, it is one of the best little stuff. I think this is the first time I've ever seen one of these stoppers.
It was the first time that I've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
When we got them in 2016.
What are they called again?
Vino locks
Oh,
or
Vino
Vino
locks.
seals. There's a couple old companies that produce
It
similar.
just pops in and locks, man.
Yeah.
These are awesome. I'm telling you. That's just, look at that. Anyway, okay, go on about the whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm done looking at the bottle.
No, it's okay. We had tried synthetic cork with some of our like vodka releases, and it doesn't work. They pop out. They don't hold. Just that. And then real cork, we do use real cork for a lot of the private bottlings that we do. Because they would prefer real cork because it gives that, you still get that pop from the real cork. And it's
you're selling the sizzle instead of the steak.
Yeah.
Type of thing with corks in general. That's the way it works. Hey, Malted Man Cave, how you doing? So this Malted Man Cave and I were just talking that I would send him down a bunch of Canadian samples and we'd do a blind tasting on his channel.
Perfect.
Right? I think he's down in Ohio. Hey, Malted Montreal, how you doing? This is available in Montreal.
Yeah.
Shelter Point Whiskey. And that's what we're talking with right now to catch up anybody that's just coming in.
Yeah.
So we're about to pour a sample of the cask strength.
So it is 58.7 ABV. If we had it our way, all of our whiskeys would be cask strength, just because it's the traditional way that we'd like to do it.
Yeah.
But not everybody prefers it that way.
I think everybody would.
The masses prefer whiskey at a slightly lower ABV.
We just need to educate them that they can add their own water.
Yeah, and they can pick the alcohol content that works best for them.
Yes, I agree with you. I like that attitude. See, almost every one of the guys in here are going to go on and tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Daniel, don't call him a donkey. I only call guys from Montreal donkeys.
So
if you see some of the other things, I get a little cheeky.
No, it's
but
good.
I think it's caused by the YouTube whiskey environment.
Yeah, no, it's good.
After several samples, you start getting in there like, yeah, whatever. We don't care. We get a little.
Perfect. The more the merrier.
Yeah, now there's a difference. Now the nose on this was more pronounced.
Yeah. So this
I think it's because of the ABV, maybe.
The ABV will have a lot to do with it. The wine has a lot to do with the nose as well, the wine finish. This is a malt spirit, 50% malt spirit blended with 50% rye spirit. So it's going to be different, unique, something that not everyone's doing because you wouldn't typically blend malt with rye.
Right. And the rye was not malted.
Not malted, no.
Okay.
And distilled in Alberta, the rye was.
Yeah, I get a little orange and spice from that. I think the rye.
Yeah, the rye adds a lot of spice.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get that maltiness out of it. I get that. And it's very oily.
Yes.
There are massive amounts of legs. This is phenomenal, actually. A little bit more heat because of the ABV.
Yeah.
But still very smooth.
I find it very smooth for cask strength. I've had some different cask strengths in my time of attending a lot of these festivals that are a little bit hard on the palate.
You need to add water to them right off the bat.
Yeah. But you always got to try everything once without water just to allow your palate to adjust to that ABV.
What is this about not typing too much? I can't type at all right now. I have whiskey in my hand. Yes, we did wear. Yes, actually, Tanner brought that up. We are wearing the same colored shirt. I have a pattern on mine.
I wanted to fit in.
We are. It was the thing. He brought nice weather to Alberta. We were minus 30 now. It's like, I don't know what it is out there. 5 degrees, minus 5 at the moment.
Minus 5. It's lovely. It's like being home, except it's dry.
It's t-shirt weather. Yeah, I don't know.
It's snowing on Vancouver Island, so I'm very happy to be here.
That's not snow.
Snowish.
Yeah, that's just a skiff. We
Yeah.
call that a skiff.
6 inches. Yeah, it's not much. You guys have more than that on your.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's it. Thanks. It's cute. Hey, listen, not all of us can go around wearing muscle shirts and being on the cover of some teenage girl magazine.
Yeah, GQ models.
Well, the Malted Man Cave was.
Uh-huh.
He was on a cover of Teen Beat. You're too young to remember Teen Beat.
Yeah, it might be a little before my time.
Yeah, he was a Teen Beat guy. I don't know what kind of girls read that magazines, but I'm sure some feminists have something to say about it. No, this is very good, very smooth. And you were saying what the ages in this are?
So the rye is about 8.5 years, and the malt is 5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. And will you be working on or having more age statement stuff later on? You said you were holding back to have a 10-year-old.
To get to that point. So our first batch of whiskey we ever put in a bottle was July 4th, 2011. Mm-hmm. So 2021 would be the first year that we can really say 10-year.
Do you think people are finding age more and more important? What's going on here?
I find that people are being more open to non-age statement whiskeys as more and more are released. There's not as much stigma per se behind unaged or unstatemented
I think
whiskeys.
as long as it's transparent about the age, like you're willing to tell us the ages of what's been put here together.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of, especially in the Scotch industry, you find a lot that when they first started it, it
was a sensitive
they
topic.
didn't say anything. Like, just tell us.
Yeah.
It's the transparency that I think creates the
funny-
positive attitude toward it. The lack of transparency makes people.
Well, it's funny because those Scotch whiskeys that are unaged statements are still 9-10 years old. They're not 16, 18 anymore, so they don't want to talk about it, but they're still lovely whiskeys. And they're becoming more and more open to sharing more of those details, which I'm doing master classes in Victoria. They're very open. All of them are very open about this is no statement, but it's 8 years or it's 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wells Toro, how you doing? Wells is in Spain.
Yeah.
Right? He's just finishing off work. I got Keith's stunning form on my mind now. Thanks. Keith's. Oh, Keith is the Malted Man Cave. Yeah, I know. But, Keith bulking up a little bit, if anyone noticed, right? I'm putting on, I haven't been putting on a winter weight. I had winter weight before winter got here. But anyway, that's another story. Anybody ask any questions? No, not at this moment. Okay, so we have this. Now, you will be continuing to do some cask strengths. Will there be some higher cask strength? Because 58.7. Yeah. Will there be?
Yeah. So we released a single cask of rye at the distillery this year, which was 59.3 or 59.7. Okay. And one of the private bottlings that we did, I think with Kensington Wine Market, was also up in the high 58s, high 50, low 59 ABV range as well.
Okay. I understand. That's good.
Yeah.
Experiments.
We love experiments.
Yes.
Yeah. The owner is very, as long as you can present an idea and show what the possibilities might be, he'll let you try kind of anything once. So we have a lot of different things we've done, whether it's the mash bills and stuff we're not experimenting with. It's either 100% of this, 100% of that mostly right now. Yeah. And we're trying a little bit of outdoor fermentation. Experimenting with that a little bit more, and that'll take on a life of its own. Hopefully this year we're going to do it on a much larger scale, outdoor fermenting. We also he's open to trying any type of barrel that I can get my hands on. So we're working on getting butt casks and punching on casks, which are 500-600 liter casks.
Any virgin oak?
A lot. We bought 50 virgin oak casks.
Did you?
Some of them are used for finishing. Some were new make right away.
Yeah.
It's amazing what new make in a virgin oak cask does. After 2 months, it's this color. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah, because you compare it to like, oh, look at this 7-year-old whiskey that we have, and the 3-month-old whiskey is darker.
Well, I look at so we have guys that are peat heads. You got sherry and so forth, and I get asked that quite often. Guys are like, "What kind of whiskey genre?" I've been asked. I'm like, "Genre? What are you talking about?" And they're talking about the casks and so forth. And I've decided that it's virgin oak. Yeah, just something about it that has always got my my idea about
it's got a certain flavor to it that's just unreplicatable through non-virgin oak cask. Like it's other virgin oak or it's not.
Are there any? So we know of 40 Creek in Ontario. Yep. They experimented and they had a Canadian virgin oak, which is the same species, the exact same tree, just grows different because in Canada it grows
more
slower,
expensive
and it's more expensive. But he sent it somewhere to a cooperage in the U.S. Yeah, and had it cut down.
A lot of the cooperages.
Are your virgin oaks just coming out of the States?
They're out of the States. They're American oak. They're from Calvin Cooperage, which is
we are in America, so ours is an American oak as well. So we're North Americans.
North American, right?
These guys hear that joke from me all the time. I'm like, I'm an American, right? We don't get into politics on this channel. Behave, Malted in Montreal. If Rooney is in here, here's an interesting thing about Faroe Islands. Yeah, just a side note and give you some knowledge about some of these guys. Rooney. They're opening a distillery on the Faroe Islands. It's a fairly small area, but they're talking about actually aging them in caves. Yeah, putting the whiskey in, and how they're going to do it, and not have the water come in and smash them to pieces. I don't know, but I'm very interested in that idea.
A lot of the Scottish distilleries, especially when you get to the outskirts, are doing really cool things. Like I know some people have them underground. I know some people have them. Yeah. In barns that are falling down.
These are islands, Faroe Islands, which is really kind of under Holland or they were under the Dutch, I believe, and they still have Dutch police and Dutch military. And I might be wrong saying Dutch, but they are. They're out in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, and their average temperature is 10 degrees all year round. Yeah, type of thing, and they have obviously deep caves. Yeah, any caves out in your area?
Not a lot of caves. A lot of old mines. We could maybe stuff them in.
Yeah. What kind of mines? Gold mines?
No, coal.
Coal.
A lot
I don't know if coal. Well, maybe
that coal flavor in there.
Gold flavor in there.
Yeah, most of the mines are closed, but we can break into them. We did when we were kids. I'm sure we could do it now.
Somebody's off and a little buzzed already. Welsh, if you're coming down to London, give me a shout. Oh, Welsh Toro. See, there's lots of crosstalk all the time, and I have a hard time. Will there be opportunities to buy casks or getting cask bottled?
Yeah. So we do private casks with whiskey clubs and whiskey or liquor stores. There is more of a process to that, but it's something that we're more than open to do.
We have a local pub or a club on the island, the We Rock.
We Rock does a lot of stuff. They're looking at getting a private bottling done. I think this year we're going to work on it. There are different opportunities to get an older cask. It'll obviously cost a little bit more than buying new make and waiting. But it's something that we're open to. We're a little more picky with what we do now because originally we did it in year one. There was a lot of sold. Some of those barrels had like 50 owners or members, and somebody who owns 2%, which will be like 4 bottles. And there was just a lot of people always coming in, and everyone's taking samples, and that barrel's draining because everyone's getting their liter sample or whatever they want. Okay. Yeah, so we're a little more picky of trying to keep it to the smaller whiskey clubs.
It's a learning curve. Yeah, it's a little different,
and just keeping like the head of the cast. So we're going to give so many samples per year to kind of that person, or we give smaller samples to everybody else.
Absolutely.
Just to keep it from the barrel, because then you imagine that 10 liters, 15 liters a year kind of going out, or 50 liters a year. It's a lot of whiskey to pull from that barrel. It's only 200 liters.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you can't be people. We don't realize it. You take a little bit out of here and there. And
the bigger ones are harder, but we
and we blame it on the angels.
Yeah, angels are very thirsty with this one cask. Yeah,
there's one.
Not the ones beside it, but just this one.
Yeah, there's one story about that, and I can't remember exactly who it was with, but that's what was going on there. They thought, like, what's going on with this? And then they come back later and I found out that it was so good that the people were just taking
Sampling
samples
it all the
constantly.
time.
Mostly the workers.
Yeah.
McMyra is in Sweden, is aging their casks in caves underground. Oh, already.
I like it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So there you go. That'll be interesting. See, I told you, Jason Whiskey Wise is
He's the guy.
Oh yeah, he knows lots. He lives in London. And
Yeah.
he knows he's right in there. Do they grow enough barley on the Faroe Islands? I have no idea, Whisky Scout. I do want to go there. If you ever take a look and watch, like go on YouTube and type in Faroe Islands,
Yeah.
it is phenomenal. It's not there's not many people there, but it's
Yeah.
since you're an island boy,
Island boy. Yeah.
you need to.
We're a
go
rather
check.
large island.
You're a
compared to
large
the typical islands.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Like some of the smaller ones, like the Gabriel or Salt Spring, where Wiebe is.
Yeah, yeah.
When there's
And there's the Whiskey Pilgrim. He is in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you want to have me sample something else? Am I missing anything, Tanner? Any questions I should be asking? That way?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a dessert liqueur.
Okay.
So the liqueur is called Barrel of Sunshine. There we go. It was funny story behind this. So the owner's daughter, not my wife, one of the other ones, because there's a whole bunch of them.
More than one daughter?
Yeah.
All
He's
single?
so lucky that he got 4 daughters.
4?
Some say he was trying for a boy. That could be true because he took as soon as I started dating my wife, he was very excited to have another man around because there was 4 daughters and his wife kind of always bossing around. So he needed someone to be on his side for things.
Yeah.
So she was doing the front desk stuff and she wanted us to do a liqueur.
Yeah.
And we were very focused on the whiskey at the time. This was in, I think, 2016. So we gave her some of our vodka and we're like, go make a recipe. If it tastes good, I'll mass produce it.
Yeah.
She came back 2 weeks later and she gave us, we loved it. I made, I think, 1,000 bottles of it right away using maple syrup infused with orange and chai spice,
Okay.
kind of with a neutral spirit vodka base.
Yeah.
And we sold those bottles within like 3 months.
Wow.
So it flew off the shelf. We sell more bottles of this than any of the individual whiskeys, which was never once in a business plan that we produced, never once in the game plan. We never thought we'd ever do liqueurs.
Because you've done vodkas and gins or
vodkas.
You've done vodkas.
We've done vodka.
But that's the funny part is this is the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Because I've always heard about Shelter Point's whiskey.
Yeah. The
So
vodka
you're-
didn't make it off the island.
No, but you are whiskey prominent.
It was always, whiskey was always the goal. Vodka is a byproduct of having a distillery.
Right.
It's just what happens if I water it down instead of putting it into a barrel kind of thing. So it was malted vodka. It had a little more flavor to it. It wasn't what vodka drinkers were looking for. They wanted something that was more typical to what they were having before.
Right on. Well, I can't. Usually I avoid liqueurs because somehow in my family they seem to be right into the sweet stuff. My brother and my father.
Yeah.
My father was a Navy man, so it was always rum.
Yeah.
But you've already got some big compliments on the bottle.
Yeah.
They love the shape of the bottle already.
Bottle was, we actually brought it in for cask owners because we thought they'd like it and nobody wanted it.
No, this is not a traditional whiskey bottle, but they
Yeah.
seem to like it. I think bourbon guys would.
Yeah.
Right? It isn't a unique little bottle. I mean, we've seen some different bottles that are similar to a barrel, but this one, I like this one.
Yeah. It was made in Italy and it was kind of just different. And the owner's daughter really took a liking to it. And she kind of called it, when we were looking for a name, she said, everybody just needs a little bit of sunshine. So let's bottle sunshine in a bottle.
Nice.
It is on the sweeter side. I find it's best with an ice cube to help water it down a little bit. I'm not so much onto the sweet stuff myself either.
Yeah. No. If you do the right thing with it, I think it would be.
But you can put it in the fridge and allow it to thicken up and put it on your pancakes or ice cream.
Oh,
So there's
now
lots
we're
of
talking.
Lots of dangerous things we
Now
could
we're
do with
talking.
this.
I'm going to get pancakes after this
Yeah.
show.
It is bottled at 30% ABV.
I'm not sure I missed this, but no, Shelter Point is not yet available in the U.S.
One day we will
One
get
day.
there.
They are working on it right now, there and Ontario.
I don't know which will come first. Probably California.
There you go, Santa. You want to become a distributor? What the fruck is a chuck? I have no idea what you're talking about. Looks like a Glenrothes bottle. No, not quite, but they have a specific name for a Glenrothes bottle. There is a special name for it. I'm sure one of you guys in the thing will know. Hey, Party Source Reviews, how you doing? Yeah, you had this one like this is one that's from Italy, you said. So
The
it's
bottle,
not-
yeah.
They have a special name that starts with a B for the Glenrothes. That
Yeah.
style of bottle. We would be amazed at how many different things there are for bottles. And it must be something that when you're working on stuff, even picking these bottles,
Yeah.
I mean, you can put more than one type of cork in there, as you know,
Yep.
right? But to pick a bottle and all that type of, there's a lot more work to making any sort of whiskey or spirit
Any
than-
spirits.
than there is than just making the
Every spirit has a different type of bottle.
Yeah.
So liqueurs you can be a little more playful with, because liqueurs don't have to be in your typical bottle. You kind of want it to stand out and be unique. This was, the bottle wasn't, but the product was similar to like a Drambuie or Grand Marnier. It was kind of made in that essence of the orange liqueurs,
Okay, yeah.
but using
No, this is-
real Canadian maple syrup from Quebec.
You know what? This is very very nice on the nose. It's not sugar. It's
No.
not a bunch of sweet sugar that
No.
I just got.
It's just that all natural sugar that you get from maple syrup. That's
Yeah.
the sweet.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to get that maple on.
And then with the whiskey, you want something that's kind of graspable for the bottle, something that
Yeah.
it's big enough, but you can't have them too tall because they need to fit on shelves as well. So you have to be wary of that.
Yeah, there are lots of different things.
We have a gin coming out. We just installed the gin still in December.
So I noticed that, and I was going to ask you about that. So
Yeah.
it's a
Column still.
column still.
Yeah.
Right.
20 plates, made by Specific Mechanical in Victoria.
Oh.
So a local company. This time they did the Victoria Spirit still as well.
And I just got the name La Bamba.
Yeah.
Which is funny. La Bamba
Yeah.
is something I would think of from like an 80s dance movie.
Yeah.
Not that you guys remember those movies, but I'm sure you've
Those are the
watched
ones that
replays.
John Travolta was in.
Yeah, John Travolta or somebody else. That's
That's the name I know.
before they had dancing television shows where people won contests.
Yeah.
This is very nice. It's not like you say, you can add it, you can put it in the freezer and thicken it up, but itself is not a.
Well, you can use. We actually recommend using it with a single malt to make a rusty nail. The tour guide at the distillery came up with his own name for it, as a 1-in-1, and he calls it a linchpin. But it's essentially just the rusty nail, but Shelter Point exclusive rusty nail.
Yeah.
Which is helps us kind of just market it and trying to make more cocktails and,
Sure,
and things.
Sure.
We don't drink a lot of cocktails, any of us.
I saw an interesting story about a guy, and he was a Secret Service agent, and he'd been around. Like he actually is the one that had something to do with protecting John or Kennedy's wife when he got shot. All that type of long story.
Yeah.
5 presidents this guy worked underneath, and he carries a card with him, and he'll go to the bar and he'll ask the bartender, "Make me a Clint," and the guy's like, "A what?" And he hands him a card, and it's got the recipe on there how to make a Clint.
Yeah.
And his name's Clint.
Yeah.
This is his cocktail, the Clint.
My cocktail.
I think every single one of us should have our own card for our own cocktail or our own special drink that we want, and just hand it to the bartender. Say, "Make me one of these under your name." So I want the throttle cocktail. I think that would be
That'd be good. I think we should. The more, the merrier that we
Yeah.
can do that.
Shelter Point could do that. Here it's a Shelter Point Old Fashioned,
Yeah.
right? Just an idea. Just throwing it out there,
Yeah.
guys. Right?
The more, the merrier.
Yep. This is good. I think that would be used very well. I mean,
It's different.
after maybe a dessert drink after,
Yeah.
but I love the idea of adding it to something.
Yeah, definitely an after dinner type of drink. But yeah, like I said, we sell more bottles of this than anything, which was never ever intended. It was sort of let's just do a small bottle, make the owner's daughter happy, and then it just flew off the shelf, and we just
I
couldn't
bet you
keep it
she's
stocked.
just beaming with sunshine.
Yeah, beaming
Herself.
with sunshine.
She's like, "Look at mine."
Yeah, she did everything.
Yeah.
She picked the bottle, really. She designed the bottle. She designed the product.
That's awesome.
I just tweaked it to make it mass producible. And
This is
that's
your
it.
sister-in-law, not
Sister-in-law, yeah.
sister-in-law.
One of many.
One of the 4, or
Yeah.
one of the 3, I guess. You're married to one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is a very interesting stuff. I have one question now. We mentioned it when we first met here. I was asking you about it, and that's to do with your fermenting tanks.
Yeah.
So in the pictures, they look awesome.
Yeah.
They're very unique. But the copper that's around them is just for decoration.
Just decoration, just on the outside, just a band. So we have.
But you have 2 different processes you were mentioning.
Yeah, we have 2 different styles of fermenting that we're doing on the farm. The first is if we're only running one shift, one distiller a day or a week, we'll do a 7-day fermentation.
Okay.
so that we can fill up all the tanks, and then the next week, then you can distill it and fill as he's emptying them.
So you have how many tanks?
We have 6 now.
Six
We
tanks.
just installed the 6, but we had 5 for a long time. And having 6 allows us, when we're double shifting, we're doing 3-day fermentations. But when we had 5 tanks, the night guy would have to do 2 nights on, 1 off to utilize his space correctly to get the 3-day fermentation. Now that we have 6 tanks, we can do 2 shifts, 5 days a week, nonstop.
Okay.
And if we so chose, we could do weekends too. So we have the opportunity to add a 3rd distiller this year as well, which is something that we're looking into. Nothing set in stone. But they are stainless, pure stainless. They were made in Vancouver.
Yep.
By Accent Steel. And
It's very good that you guys are using as much stuff on the island as possible, whether it be the barley from your own farm, as well as the column stills, and now your fermentation tanks.
Fermentation, as much as it's a little more cost effective keeping it local, just because you're not paying for
all the shipping.
Because once you have to cross the ocean to go to Vancouver, the price goes up a couple $1,000s. It's just what it is.
Imagine in Scotland what it costs for some of the stuff that gets there, and I mean it would be quite a bit cheaper.
The stills were took 8 months to show up. We're stuck in customs for a long time.
Really?
Which is sad.
Why did they hold us for so long? Like, no, these might have contraband in them. That is illegal.
Just to make us sweat as much as possible.
Welcome. When we're dealing with government officials, we always seem to have that.
They're never in a rush.
We need to come up with 6 Jasons with this crowd. Oh, a different Jason. They're talking about Jason Coates. Whiskey in a glass tends to be my drink of choice. I don't blame you at all, Chad. Nothing coming up. Just crosstalk right now while they listen to us.
Yeah.
And somebody would get behind some idea. I don't know if that's from the chat or not. I'm getting old. I have to lift my glasses up like this. Jason says he's on it. That's good. Right on. Any questions, guys, before we let this young man get on to his day? We have to change shirts.
Yeah.
So
I got my other shirt in the car that I'll put on.
Yeah, exactly. So the Whisky Scout, please. Okay, so this is phenomenal. So anything else that we need to, have you ever seen your Shelter Point wheel?
Yeah. So the distiller created this. It may look very similar to some of the Johnny Walker one, but we changed it just enough where we don't have to talk about it. So the distiller went through it and we made it more symmetrical. It has different categories and different subcategories. We added some things that are only going to be found in Canada, like that you wouldn't typically see in a Scottish one. Like you got beach fire, smoked salmon, barbecue meat, poutine as a flavor, maple syrup.
Poutine, that.
And I think if we go down here, we got some tractor grease, just different things that you don't typically get.
That is unique, guys. You gotta. So can they find this on the website or?
That is on the website, I believe. Yeah. And at most of the events and tastings we do, we have loads of those and we just hand them out to whoever is willing to take one.
Yes, Santa, we will work on sending you some samples, I promise. Yeah. We will make sure that it is as Jacob said, getting spread as quickly as possible, and word of mouth is one of the best ways for advertising.
Yeah.
Nope, that is unique. I'm glad you pointed those out.
Yeah, so we changed it just enough that it's Canadianized, and everyone seems to be okay with it.
No, why not? There should be some things that are in here. Tractor grease, that's awesome. I'm gonna go smell some tractor grease now.
It does have a certain aroma to it,
depending on what kind of tractor. Like a John Deere smells different than
a cat. No, not really. It's more hydraulic oil. It smells different than the tractor grease, which
So there's a little bit of difference there.
Difference in the greases. You can really tell is it hot, is it cold, has it been running all day. We could if you're ever on the farm, I'll show you the different tractor greases that we have.
I will. You know what? I haven't been to the island in a few years. I have friends that live in Duncan, and I think that. We should.
Duncan has the highest selling liquor store in BC.
Does it?
Which is amazing to me because it's not a very big place.
I think that's where there's other guys. They're not in here right now called Trinity and Sea. I think that's where they live.
Yeah.
And they do a YouTube channel too.
They have, the highest, I think it's volume of sales
in Duncan.
In BC. And it's in Duncan. It's called Beverly's Corner. It's
Really?
one of our favorite stores, and they do have a nickname in Duncan. Some people call it Drunken Duncan.
I don't think they drank that much on the island. I thought it was all weed. So we can talk about that now because it's legal in Canada.
Yeah,
right.
There's a fair amount of marijuana kicking around the island.
Oh, it's not weed. We can call it marijuana now.
Yeah, it's not too hard to
for
find.
all you Americans. It's legal for us to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of beer. Everyone on Vancouver Island thinks that Lucky Lager is only available on Vancouver Island because it's not available in the rest of BC. You can't find it like in Vancouver.
Why is that? That's interesting facts about the island.
I have no idea. And I honestly, until I came out here and I went to the liquor store and there's Lucky in every store.
Everywhere, I'm sure. Well, I don't think they carry the keg and cork.
That's not.
This is a little bit of a boutique liquor store. So if you're ever in Edmonton, come to the keg and cork. You will find Shelter Point here. And if you're ever on Vancouver Island, go to Campbell River. This is basically the right directions, right? And go to Shelter Point itself. Do you guys have a hotel there yet?
No, working on it. Work in progress.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
The regional district does not like to work with us because they like to just stand out from all the other regional districts.
Oh, I see.
And make their own rules. It's very fun.
I'm sure that you'll work it out.
We're working progress.
You got to go through all the hoops.
We're just going to build barns and then let people stay in there, but not tell anybody.
I get an idea. Put wagon wheels out there.
Because I can
just throw it with a bed in it, like a foam thing, and you put your sleeping bag on top and sleep in there.
Half the year, it's lovely. Yeah. Or 3 months of the year.
I mean, no. It would be good. For an Albertan, it would be good all year round, just so you know. DM me on Instagram if you want to send me some samples. I will, Whisky Scout. We will definitely get a together and we will send you some samples. You and the Malted Man Cave and, well, pretty much everybody I'd like to try and do some collaborating with.
We can figure it out. Yeah. We can work on some contacts. Absolutely.
Well, I really, really appreciate you coming here.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank you for having me.
And putting up with all of us in the chat and myself. Going on about things. I think it's a phenomenal distillery, not only for the whiskey it's making, but to go and visit.
Yep.
It would be great. I definitely want to go there and check out your carpentry skills.
Absolutely. Tours and tastings are free.
There's a leak in the roof. We know that
I didn't do a very good job.
Father-in-law got ripped off. All right. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I don't know how long we were on here, but I would say, just over an hour. So that's not too bad. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good day and enjoy some whiskey. Talk to you later.
Perfect.